The Government of India is currently on a mission to develop 100 cities across the country, making them citizen-friendly and sustainable. The impetus given to the project is because it is believed that these smart projects would help transform the urban growth development across India, and this is also buttressed through expectations that the urban areas will house 40% of India's population and contribute 75% of India's GDP by 2030. However, there are concerns that India's smart cities projects are possibly unviable in their scope and implementation. We reviewed the need for smart cities and what it means for the Indian society.
So we need to upgrade the existing infrastructure. So for upgrading the existing infrastructure, we need to widening the roads, upgradation of the slum areas, redevelopment of certain areas, acquisition of a land where we develop the proposals, and upliftment of the facade, and that is also an existing area to uplift it. So here the challenge is that the stakeholder, the owners or the private land stakeholders comes into picture, where the policy is also in place, but it takes time to actually implement on the ground. So on the other category, we have to acquire the open lands, and there we propose the new infrastructure to make that surroundings in the city smart. That is basically an efficient and very less time consuming to come up at a result.
Taking into account the total costs of the realization of each plan, which includes tackling sanitation, pollution, traffic management and urban development, the allocated funds are exceptionally low. How would these projects be eventually developed forms the crux of this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of India Risk Report. And in this episode, we are looking at the various issues connected with India's smart cities. To what extent has this initiative progressed? Where are the stumbling blocks and where there is hope? India has the project of about 100 smart cities lined up in principle, and the government has made reasonably large allocation of funds, but our studies have shown that the funds have not necessarily trickled down to the smart city projects. Some of it is blamed on bureaucratic delays, some of it purely for the absence of plans and worthwhile initiatives that can really be put into play. But most importantly, by 2030, urban population in India could house 40% of India's entire population, and at the same time, it could contribute to more than 70% of India's GDP. So the figures are all looking very good, but to understand the reality, we have with us Mr. Mujibur Rahman, who's the team leader of Ujjain Smart City. Welcome on the show. And through a video link, we have the very distinguished Dr. Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development. Mr. Krishna, sir, it has been argued that one of the stumbling blocks is the fact that the smart city idea, which we've picked up from the West, doesn't really get implemented effectively in India because the challenges in India and the environment in India is very different from the West. Could you elaborate on some of them?
I think Smart City Mission was a timely initiative, and cities do need to get smart. But let us understand what is smartness. A smart city will have the better quality of life, efficient service delivery system and safe environment. Now, for these things, we do require modern technology interventions, and we do require investment in infrastructure. But above all, we require institutional arrangements. I think that is where we did not meet the requirements of the situation. For instance, our municipalities did not rise to the occasion. Perhaps they were not involved well enough. We took the model of special purpose vehicles and put the municipalities on the sidelines. Perhaps that approach can be reviewed now. Other than that, the Smart City Mission was a very timely intervention, and and a very thoughtful approach.
So, obviously, you are sounding all very positive about it. Rahman Saab, now, one of the areas which I find is a problem area is that there is a lot of dependence on IT related features in smart cities, where you are expected to get complete connectivity through IT, whether it's the security backup of buildings, whether it is your ability to reach from one place to another, whether it's the local transportation system which is provided through public transport. At some stage or the other, IT and IT related facilities would come in. But the problem to my mind is that India is still nowhere near the effective levels of data security, building blocks against cyber attacks, and equally important is the fact that our investment in IT in smart cities is very low. I'm told it is something like infrastructure investment in India is 14% comparatively of what China does in terms of infrastructure assessment. So we have a governmental view from Dr. Sudhir. Let's have your view as a hands-on player in Ujjain.
See, if you see at smart cities, the very focus of smart cities is basically the ease of life, because government has already started Swachh Bharat mission for cleanliness of cities. We have housing mission, we have urban infrastructure mission of Amrut. So those missions are covering basic infrastructure in the cities. So now the thing is left, which is we need a technology-based, digital technology-based solutions which make our life easy and comfortable, and that was the idea behind the smart cities. So that's why we are dependent on these. And if you see even in smart cities, 85% weightage of investment is given to the basic infrastructure, because our cities lack basic infrastructure. If you don't have basic infrastructure, how you will impose your smart technologies on that? So first you need basic infrastructure like water supply, sewerage, drainage, roads. So that's why smaller areas, considering the financial resource constraints, smaller pockets in the cities were selected to develop as a smart city model. And on those smart city technologies, digital technologies were imposed, like CCTV cameras, surveillance. We have intelligent traffic systems, and then a concept of integrated control command center is developed, which will monitor which will monitor these facilities.
So what you are effectively saying is that certain patches in cities are being developed as so-called smart city initiatives to make the officials, when they visit the city, feel good there is some movement taking place in that area. But in reality, smart cities, and that's something I'm going to go back to Mr. Sudhir Krishna also, that I'll shift from you to Dr. Krishna sir. It is alleged that the smart city really is going to cater for the wealthy and the well-off. The poor parts of the population, and you can't do away with them easily, they would not be beneficiaries of this, because the sewage treatment plants are not working the way in smart cities they should. Water is still going into the rivers, which is a source of drinking water for a lot of other people. So are we really moving comprehensively, or as Dr. Rahman was saying, that we are moving in bits and pieces?
I think a time has come now to focus on a different framework for smart cities.
Okay.
In as much as so far we had taken a few hundred acres of land patch in a city and we tried to make it smart, assuming that rest of the city will catch up by taking that as a role model.
Okay.
I think that experiment has yielded mixed results, and now a time has come to work on every single ward of the municipality. We should not work on one or two wards and make them smart. You see, every single, and it doesn't cost so much, The way we are moving, it's highly project driven, it's highly investment driven, and it is not integrated investment, I would say. I'm not blaming what has happened. It is a learning experience, I would put it this way. Now, what we require now is to make the whole city smart, but not by taking up city-wide projects as such. Take a ward. A ward is a very large entity. A ward has got a population of almost like 1 lakh in many cases, or in some other cases maybe 30 to 50,000. A 1 or 2 lakh population is not a small number of people, and that comprises rich people, poor people, aged people, youngsters, men, women, all strata of society, both in economic terms and social terms. So we should now make plan for each ward, which should work on, 5 items I would define. One is 24/7 water supply. Second is 24/7 electricity supply. Third is good walkways and cycleways with vending zones along the roads. And fourth is slum-free city. It's not good to have, no smart city can be having slums. You cannot call a city smart with people living in slums there. So we should have the housing for all program integrated, make good houses, shift people.
Okay.
And lastly, the water bodies should be spruced up. With that framework.
Okay. So we've got your point, sir. I think those are very important 5 benchmarks. But Mr. Rahman, quickly, we don't have much time. The thing is that it takes about 8 to 10 years to build a smart city from scratch. What Dr. Sudhir is suggesting is you convert what exists into a smart city. I think these are pipe dreams, because I think it's impossible to remove population blocks from a crowded alley or a lane and tell them that we're suddenly going to have a smart lane and smart street out here. So how in Ujjain are you being able to move forward with these existing challenges?
Actually, you need not to remove population. For making your city smart, you need not to remove your population. You can plan for those. So let us take example of Ujjain. See, in Ujjain we have around 1,000 acres of land, which is to be developed as a smart city. So we have taken entire major roads to make them develop as a smart roads. Entire infrastructure like cables and water supply, drainage, sewerage, everything will go underground. There will be ducting system, and the roads will be made smart. It will have intelligent traffic systems, and at none of the places we have proposed to damage or demolish the buildings. So it can be done. So you have to plan accordingly, so that you don't have to remove the slums, or
so what you're effectively
we
saying,
can do the participatory planning.
What you're effectively saying, all cities in India have large tracts near about them which you can develop more effectively, while keeping the sentiments of the older part of the city in mind. But we'll come back after a break to look at what kind of money is required, what type of initiatives are required for public-private partnership, and has India really received indirect or direct foreign investment with the smart city project? But that after a break. Welcome back. We continue to have our 2 experts with us who are looking at the various challenges that India faces with its smart city projects. Dr. Sudhir Krishna, having been Secretary in the Ministry of Urban Development, can you say hand on heart that the money that has been allocated in principle has reached anywhere near the scale that is required to develop 100 smart cities, if not more? Because my statistics show that very little of that percentage of the funds the government has allocated, and I believe of late the government has decided to allocate 2 lakh plus crore rupees, but only 21% of central funds have been distributed and 1.8% of this has been utilized. Is it your ilk, that is the bureaucracy, delaying the process?
I would say that the process that has been adopted for the smart city mission is full of roadblocks. The process is such that we did not select all the 100 cities in one go. There was first round, after 1 year second round, then third round, and so on. I don't see much benefit of going in this round wise approach when we have got 4,000 cities and then selecting only 100 cities, and of the 100 also selecting cities in rounds led to the process of selection overtaking the outcomes. Okay. That is one learning lesson, I would say. The process should be simple, and then the whole fund flow and implementation of project would be faster. That is a learning lesson number 1.
Okay.
We have got more learning lessons also, but maybe
I'll come back to that again. Okay, Mr. Rahman, Um it is said that the smart city projects have run into typical bureaucratic delays. Have you faced them? Don't be politically correct, but let us know if you face them and what are those delays.
I won't agree with it that it has stuck up in bureaucratic delays because if you see in Madhya Pradesh, the progress is fairly good and we are progressing well. The setup is very good. We have state level mission directorate and we have city level SPV and we have city level advisory committee which has members of local member parliament, MLA, mayor. So we are getting all kind of support. We are not stuck up anywhere.
Okay, but isn't it true that on an average 80% of the funds in most cities are utilized by only 2.7% of the city's area? Is that the same story that you have experienced?
You have to understand the concept of smart city. The 2.7% area is coming because the citizens, they have voted for those areas because they were given the option that entire city cannot be developed as a whole smart city considering the limited financial resources. So the people, the citizens of cities, they voted for those areas, which area they want to develop as a smart city model. So that investment is high because 85% of investment is made in basic infrastructure, water supply, sewerage, drainage, electricity, and 15% of investment is made on the smart technologies, digital technologies, that control command center which will monitor and supervise the city activities. So you have to understand the concept of smart city, that 2.7%, why 2.7% area? Because 2.7% area is voted by citizens.
Okay, okay. Dr. Krishna sir, a study by Brookings in India has shown that 3 chosen Indian smart city projects, I suppose these are about Ahmedabad, Ajmer and Varanasi, have in comparison to projects in various metropolitan cities in Africa, Asia and Latin America with similar demographic and economic traits have been lagging behind on almost all counts of progress, more so, and I need an authentication from you, that an RTI query of September 2017 has revealed that no investment from foreign investors have come in ever since Mr. Modi embarked on his 100 smart cities journey. Is this true?
You see, actually cities really don't require foreign investment. Cities are the engines of growth, and I 100% believe that. Cities create wealth, and if cities create wealth, there is no need for them to look for foreign funds unless domestic funds are not available anywhere. Now our domestic saving rates are pretty high. Municipalities have to raise city bonds, and they are not able to raise city bonds not because citizens don't have money. It is just because the municipal accounts are not up to date. The municipalities are not able to capitalize on their own assets. They have got huge properties, but their properties are not property reflected in their books of account, and therefore we think municipality has no capacity to borrow. If they update their accounts, which efforts are going on but need to be speeded up, they can raise money from local market itself. They don't have to go even for national bonds like NHAI bonds. Even city bond, Varanasi city bond, Bangalore city bond is enough. People have got enough money to invest in their own city, provided they get assurance about the return of the money, and that is all is required. So I don't see much concern about foreign investment not coming in a smart city mission. I don't think that is a worry at all.
Okay, Mr. Rahman, Dr. Sharma has touched on precisely the question that I was going to ask you. A, that raising money is one aspect of municipality or local city development councils, but more importantly is, even if you've raised money, as in Gurgaon, they had hundreds of crores, but they don't have projects, or they can't seem to come up with projects to invest that money sensibly. And equally important is the fact that when the money is to be raised, there is an absolute lack of communication and confidence between the public and the private sector, and therefore the private sector, which has money and which would like a better quality of life in their cities, don't trust the public undertakings to actually get on with the project. Is this true, or would you like to dispel this myth also?
You have raised a very good point actually, and I, to certain extent, I agree with you. Actually, there is a lack of confidence as well as there is lack of communication. Because smart cities have just launched, and most of the cities they are like focused on certain aspects. So when the things settle, definitely SPVs and cities they will start communicating with the potential investors, and public and investor communications will start. These things will take time to take a momentum. So that's right. Actually, if communication improves, that mobilization of investments through public and private players partnership and government private players partnership, that can generate lot of huge funds.
Dr. Krishna, sir, I want to ask another very leading question, and that is that there is an absence of resilience in the smart city projects in terms of how much we can expect it in the long run to actually sustain all the good plans that people like you may have laid out. Is there a long-term sustenance model in place, or the aim is only to convert a shabby city into a smart city?
I think the long-term vision has come in the plan, in the mission document. Long-term vision has come, but even so, I think that it is high time to review that whole approach, and we have to work on learning from the experience of these 3 years. In fact, June 15, the mission was launched, and now we are in June of 18, so 3 full years are over. It is a good time to recall what has gone right and what has not gone right. So I think, as I said before, it is high time to work on whole city, but broken into wards and localities, make each locality, each mohalla, each ward smart. I mean, there is no need, because if we take so many years to make 100 cities, and within those 100 cities a few hundred acres smart, then when shall we make our 4,000 notified municipalities and another 4,000 villages are ripe to be called municipality? When, how many decades we shall take, and we cannot afford that. So it is very high time to change that vision, and it is possible now. But we have to trust. We have trust in ourselves. We have trust in our own model. We don't have to worry too much about foreign, technology, foreign. We should take that along, but not depend too much on that. We should trust our own municipality above all. The thing is, today we have sidelined the municipalities and SPVs have come to fore. Is the city to be driven by an SPV? The large cities, it is not possible at all. It is the corporation, municipal corporations, municipal mayors, they have municipal councillors, they have to be roped in emotionally, and they have to be driven to drive the mission. I think that learning lesson I would recommend, and then only we can achieve making the whole urban area and also rural areas smart.
So essentially what you are saying is that let us concentrate on a big template for all of India, and not just look at 100 cities or 1,000 smart cities or whatever number comes up as thrown up as a marketing kind of number, which sounds good, but go across the board for improving everything. Short question: is this model workable? Better than just focused short areas of excellence, it becomes a model for everybody else?
I think this model is better model. See, we have to also see the smart city guidelines which were framed. They had certain objectives. The objective was like you have to select an area which is driving your city economy, so that the employment per capita income can also be increased. So that thing was there. Based on those guidelines, the consultants who were planning the proposals, they proposed, they gave options to public that these are the options which you can vote. So if you go by this methodology, you are impacting your economy, local economy, you are generating employment. So this is a better approach actually.
The specific focused approach.
First you develop this model, then it can be replicated the way you are talking about.
So we've got 2 points of view. One is the official point of view that Dr. Sudhir Krishna has brought out, and one is the one by Mr. Mujibur Rahman, that you could either develop India across the board and make it look qualitatively better than what it was 5-10 years ago, or just have centers of excellence in every city, and that can work as a model for everybody else. Only time will tell who we'll be proved right. But until then, thank you for watching.